Hi, I'm Brooklyn with Block Party Quilt Co. Today I'm going to show you how to square up a quilt top. Squaring up a quilt top is important for all quilts, especially quilts that are going to have borders. Now this quilt's pretty small, so it's easier to show you what to do, but the same principles apply to larger quilts as well. So when we have a quilt, no matter who you are or how cool you are, you're going to have variance in the length or these edges, and we want to trim that off before we do anything else to our cute little quilt. So bring each half folded to the center, and where this one isn't a perfectly straight line, we can't match them up yet, but you can match up where these seams line up. That's kind of the guide that I use for straightening out a quilt and folding it right that first time. Then we're going to slide this over and just barely trim off the excess. So I like to make sure it's lined up with my mat pretty well. And then I pick a straight line. And trim. See, so that gets little hairs off of every piece. Now we have this nice straight line down this side. And we'll do the same thing over here. So make sure the seams are lined up again. So here and here, those look pretty good. Then we'll line it up on the mat. Make that trim. So now we have this edge as a straight edge, and we flip it over and do the same thing for this other side. But because this is now a nice straight line, we can match them up together. Not properly squaring up a quilt is the number one mistake that I see as a long arm quilter. There are so many mistakes that could be avoided if this little step was taken. It's also important to square up blocks as you sew, especially for complicated quilts, because it keeps things nice and neat. And most patterns will tell you what size to square blocks to. See, now we have this edge is nice and neat. Flip it over. So again, my very biggest piece that I cut off is like still less than 1/4 inch. But because there's so much variance, it's so important to do this to get nice straight lines on your quilt. And if you want to just make sure that you got it right, you can come and line up a ruler to make sure that that corner is 90 degrees. And so we got it. So I think we're good. So now your quilt is nice and square, and it is ready to add a border or to be quilted. This is a kit that will be available in our store. It's pretty simple, great for beginners, great for people who want a fast quilt. And don't forget about our long arm quilting service where we can make this thing look amazing. Thanks, bye.